All right, y'all. Here we are, Lyrical Ones podcast. We are here again with your boy Sineo. We also got Alex Affluent in the building. We also have June in the building. This week, Figo won't be in attendance. He had to handle some off-planet matters and save some other galaxies right now. So we're gonna hold down the fort and kind of get things moving. And this is episode 8. Episode 8. 8 weeks down, we are doing our best to stay consistent. We are trying to provide you with the essentials during these times of need. So, with that, June, how are you doing? How's your week been? What's going on? What's new?
Oh, well, thank you so much for asking, Sineo. Oh, my week has been incredible. Each and every day, I'm finding myself saying, this is the best day ever. And just my family and friends, the ones that I spend my days with, in and out of what we would call this new lifestyle. uh, they remind me, they say, you say that every time I'm with you. You say that every time we're together. You say that every day. And I say, it's because it's true. So I'm so thankful that each and every day I'm living it as if it were my best life because it truly must be.
I feel it. That's what's up. That's what's up. What about you, Alex? What's going on? How you doing? How's your week been?
Week is awesome as usual. Uh, it's been it's nice to run out of bad days. Just kind of reach my quota for bad days. It's like I try to have bad ones, and they just end up being good every time I wake up. June, I have to ask, what is that sound in the background?
Oh, well, I'm in my own garden. And those are
Nice,
crickets that you may be hearing. So,
fresh.
yes, thank you. I should
Yeah,
have the
Sineo.
fountains going, but I didn't want to be too overbearing.
Next time, bring the fountain out.
Okay.
Just one, just once. If you got it, go ahead. It's
All right.
if
We'll see. We'll see.
fe-
We'll see
feelings
how
are
today flows.
important. Sinio, how's your week been?
I mean, my week been cool. Coming to the kind of the apex of the other me and what's going on at work, right? We are coming to the head of when you realize you can't continue allowing others to define your time and define what your time is worth. And so, not to be too veiled about it, but to kind of touch on it, at work, like I've consistently said, I'm showing up in a different capacity. I am active and activated, and I'm trying to push for change. And I'm also aware that as much as people are vocal in their acceptance and want for change, not everyone is necessarily ready. And even more so, I have to be responsive to the communication styles of people and what's being communicated to me and receiving and holding that, right? So on one end, I got to make sure I'm communicating the proper message. If you check my Twitter out, right, Sineo on Twitter, Sineo, I said, uh, communication is the key, right? Comprehension is the lock, and then context is the door, right? So when you have those things that line up, right, the communication, the comprehension, and the context, you then have real understanding of what it is that's going on. And so what's conveyed to me is, kind of put it out there. There's people who value meritocracy, the idea of having, a traditional education, getting degrees, or value money and social stature or economic stature more so than the value of what your words or what your beliefs or what your practices are. So I noticed that and I was like, okay, I get it. I'm not going to go back to college. I'm going to go get some money. I'm going to work really hard. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure that you all understand what I'm saying through what you need to see me through, right? So if you see me through degrees, okay, I could go to school, get some degrees, and then you could be able to accept what I have to say. Or I go get some money, come to the table and use that as leverage to say, I don't need you. I need access to your infrastructure so I could support my community. And that's where I'm at with it is like, I've got some things done, did some hard work, both within me as the other me and me with the mask on. So, I'm 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 happy that I was able to accomplish those things. And I'm just telling everybody, own it. Whatever it is, get your ownership and own it. Right? Like, don't let nobody own you. Don't let nobody own your ideas. We've had that happen for far too long. And we have the internet, and we have platforms like this where we could contact each other, reach out, and be informed about what it means to have ownership. So, if you have questions, please reach out. I'm Sineo on Instagram. I'm Sineo on Twitter. If you have a thought, a feeling, or you want to get some more information, if I don't have the answer, I'm gonna do my best to go find somebody with the answer and present it to you, because you need to own it, own your moment, own your life. So yeah, that's where we at. Shout out to the crickets.
The crickets are in full effect. They loving the commentary.
Standing ovation. I would say, it's time for more people to take ownership, yes, of their dreams, because I feel as if the world to progress, to become, to showcase the best out of people. I still believe that people will have deep down have good hearts, genuine good hearts. So I always look to the progression of society by seeing the best. And I believe that well, I have a question, that what would this world be without so many things that we see today are because of people's dreams. So what would this world be today without those dreams? Dreams of expanding technology, of creativity, of art, and for those who are creatives, what would the world be without your dream? Your dream has a place in this world, so don't pull back. And that's what I would. It's my take on it.
I'm with it, 100%. I feel that, like, it's so true. Like, we often forget that, like, there's a rapper that I seen, Frack, right, battle rapper, and he's putting out these songs, and no, that's a misappropriation, right? Like, that's not who he is. That's what he does. He does multiple things, but with the duality, some people may know him as a battle rapper and appreciate his lyricism, and he also makes songs. He's a rapper, trying to true songwriter, and he put out a song. And I don't want to. I mean, I'm a butcher the line, but the line meant so much to me when I heard it. Was um you know, they said don't go quit your daydream. I mean, don't quit your day job. He said, they tell me don't quit my day job. I tell them don't quit your daydream. And I was like, that's everything I needed to hear in this moment, right? Where I'm working to satisfy the merits of others, and kind of this system that I don't necessarily agree with. I identify that it's problematic and needs to be scrutinized and dissected. This man came through with the bar that I needed to hear at the time I needed to hear it, to be like, you know what? They tell me don't quit your day job. Nah, I'm not gonna quit my daydream. Like, I'm gonna be on it. So, you're right. You gotta own your dreams at all costs. You can't get caught slipping. You know what I'm saying? It ain't about sleeping. It's about building that dream to manifest itself in reality. So I'm with it. Like, what you gonna do to make sure your dream comes true? Like, at the end of the day, that's what it really comes down to.
Can't
So
be sleeping on your dream. Or
Exactly. Bars, bars for sure. It's one of those things like if the resources come into your lap, are you ready to execute, your dream? And dreaming dreaming without a plan, can leave you still wanting. And so like I think it's important to just to continue to start with that base of imagine. Imagination is so important in a world where people are losing hope, where people are looking for hope. Um, and you can always look for hope in your daydreams, and looking for your hope in your meanderings and your pontifications. You know, just whatever you think of, like give yourself credit for being authentic to you, and not something that was pushed upon you, not something that was fed to you. I think we're in a time where everybody's sitting still and having more time to dream and revisit dreams and reimagine dreams, and it's very much okay to say this dream is new to me. I'm getting used to dreaming it, and I want to see where it goes from here, because I think often people who have been uh, struck down and trying to find their way back, they build a habit of dismissing their dreams, those initial imaginative thoughts. They dismiss them as ideas that can just be tossed aside, and that may be the key to unlocking, joy in their life. Is just even in the pursuit of a dream can mean so much to a person, and enabling someone, helping someone find empowerment to pursue their dream, you know, uh, can change your life too. And we have a generation of folks, of young people who are looking to dream, just dreaming of outside, dreaming of seeing their friends again, dreaming of changing systems that they have come into knowledge that are harming them, harming their parents, harming their relatives, and they're dreaming of a better way. And anyone who has the capacity to help them along the way and help them navigate through those dreams, now's your time to step up and you know create funds, create programs, create systems um, that are you know in place or that become necessary, I think, to uproot where we are now.
I mean, that's
I write that down. Create systems of funds, not just funds for myself, but my community, and how to enrich the whole everyone who's in the experience.
no, you right. You right. It is about how do you give and give power to your dream, right? Like you gotta you really gotta like people will treat your dream like a hallucination. Like you gotta remember, like
Facts.
denote and denounce and minimize, dismiss, and like in every other way, little bro you or little sis you, and be like, you know what? Let me just, I get what you're saying, but or like think of the context of school. You could be whatever you want to be. You could grow up and be whatever you want to be. You can be whatever you want. And then as soon as you start to say it, well, when we look at your test scores, when we see your attendance, and it's like, okay, so you hype me up to tell me I could be whatever I want to be. And then instead of telling me how all these multiple factors play a role and how to give me solutions for my individual struggles with these hurdles that you placed on me, right? Like now I'm no longer to be anything I can be, right? I can only be limited to certain things. And like I've worked in the community for a long time, especially with youth, as a youth, and then transition into adulthood and seen the scope of how sometimes you kind of become the outlier, you become the anomaly, you become the exception to the rule. And for me, I've had dreams that were way beyond in this current form and iteration of where I'm at, but at the same time, also in alignment with where I'm at. So dreams fall in so many different scales and spectrums. And I've definitely had people tell me, you're not going to be able to do this, that, and the third, for me to then turn around and accomplish those things and make those things happen. But I have to acknowledge my luck in the equation of life where I've had access, support, education, information, love, compassion, empathy to then be like, I got it in me, I'm gonna make it happen. Right. I've had the blessing to go to a school, multiple schools that had a level of diversity and experiences and culture to then say, I also come from a community where we have this together, right? There's a certain level of belief involved, right? That the world is small and we gonna come back together. Like, I mean, come on, we went to the same elementary school. You know what I'm saying? And now, years later, we find ourselves in similar paths where they're crossed and aligned, where we're like, you know what, we headed to a greater whole, not just for us. Like this isn't to serve us. This is a space for healing as a community with who's on here, but also as a space of community for everyone who listens, right? We just trying to present alternatives to this thing we call life. And we know what's out there. We've seen it. We hear the spicy conversations and we have spicy conversations. But I feel like we have a responsibility to ourselves to have time and space to be constructive and positive, to be careful and responsible, and to really hope that there's a chance for us to uplift everyone's dreams, to give power to your self esteem, your confidence, your struggles, your strife. Because I don't know how many people are talking at you for the sake of your entertainment and how many people are trying to enlighten you and uplift you and speak to you. And I think for us, that's where we fall, right? Like we're coming from a perspective of we trying to reach and not necessarily just teach, but like be in the practice of what we're about, right? Like we, you know, we are who we are. And it's not to say that we're like putting ourselves on a pillar, but it's like how many times have you sat in a room, hear the conversation, and realize this conversation ain't got nothing to do with you? Now,
Often.
your opportunity, right? To be able to have those conversations, if this is the space that you feel, to come in and be able to just let's talk about it, right? And let's talk about it in a way that's different, right? Because we could be reckless with it. We could say whatever we want, but I'm gonna tell you, like, nah, it don't gotta be like that. We could have a time and place for everything. And in this time and place, it's about healing. It's about wellness. It's about hope. It's about faith. It's about love. It's about passion. It's about dreams, right? Like our dreams. Put stake, put stock, put time into your dreams. So, you know, for all those that's listening, like, you know, this is connecting from Northern California, the Bay Area, to the Southern California and the LA area. Understand? Like, you know what I'm saying? We coming from so many different perspectives and experiences on the West Coast, but we understand that we got people who are listening from all over. And so I just wanted, you know, kind of touch on that. Like we ain't just talking at you, we trying to talk to you. And you know, we as much as we talking together right now, we're not blind to the fact that people are listening. And you know, it's just let's be real. Like you know, let's have a good time. Let's have some good vibes. Let's have some good energy. So you know, that's just how I feel.
Yeah. I always subscribe to that idea that luck is preparation meets opportunity, and sometimes it's you, not you preparing yourself. Sometimes it's life preparing you for an opportunity. Sometimes it's the people who care about you preparing you for an opportunity. Sometimes it's your missteps and mistakes that's preparing you for an opportunity. Sometimes it's your dreams that's preparing you for an opportunity, and you won't necessarily see the opportunity coming. Um, and sometimes you may not be prepared to identify when it shows up. But when the truth of where we are now is that because there are certain things that are not happening, there's opportunity for other things to happen. Um, and if people continue to prepare, for their luck to show up, for their luck to synthesize, um, I think it's important that they go for it and try for it and say, like, what have I what dream have I been building for someone else, and now what can I dream up and start to build on. And if I had all the time in the world, all the focus in the world, or all the energy in the world, or all the resources that I needed, where would I start? And and then go from there on building a system again that allows you to run into your opportunity. um yeah, we are definitely ones that have paused and started to dream up things that were bigger than ourselves, bigger than our daily life, bigger than our moment to moment events, and say, the event of my life, what do I want it to be? Who do I want to invite to the event of my life? Um, and I think that's how our lives intertwine. Um, that's why we can be in different cities and be in different regions, and have that same mindset to pursue dreams, to encourage others to do the same. And if we can, as we can get the opportunity to keep this consistent, um, kind of invite others to walk alongside us as they uh they pursue that empowerment, um as we try to pursue our own empowerment, and not nobody's going to give power to your dream. You can only do that yourself. um you're the only one that can illustrate it and articulate it, past the thought. um that's for each of us, each of you, everyone, you all listening. um yeah, you can give power to your dream. And we'll be along for the ride, as you continue to tune in.
Well, now we're really crossing over into what is manifestation. So it's not only our responsibility to dream, if ever a responsibility to take seriously, wouldn't that be one? It's also our responsibility to make it happen. And I do agree with Alex where it comes to having a mindset, a shared mindset with the collective or of like minds. And as creatives, I feel as if I can relate with Sineo when he was talking about feeling as if you were limited in the schools as a child. Because even as a substitute teacher, I would see that we're only we what they equip us with is already limited, and it's limiting, and it's only going to continue to do so and to diminish until they invest. And yes, monetary funding for teachers. Well, now we're talking about teachers only doing online, and how do we sort out the credentialing with that? How do we sort out 6/8 of the attendance will be considered online. However, the student must be in 3/4 of every class on Wednesdays to meet up for a Zoom. So anyway, I just want to say shout out to those underserved schools and underserved students and underserved teachers, because they are the most educated, because they're forced to use their creativity to come up with ways to push themselves forward. Woo, talk about manifesting their dreams. Those are the ones. That's why we have a whole new generation of young leaders out of nowhere. So I feel as if this is why I got my little tracksuit on. I'm trying to keep up. I'm trying to break a sweat. I'm trying to not just make a change. I'm trying to be the change. I'm trying to inspire change. I'm trying to, yeah. So and this is why I'm excited to be amongst like minds. Thank you.
No, that's real. That's real. That's real. I mean, I just think about it like, y'all both touched on things that kind of like, they to me go hand in hand. It's some conversations that I had earlier today, but I was talking about like the need for like information, right? And like, by no means does it mean we've perfected what we're saying, but we definitely are in practice of what we're saying. Like we, like I can speak for myself, and I feel like it's shared is that we've been able to find a level of joy that we've been able to refine, like took some refinement, we took some care to really kind of etch out like, how is this healthy, how is this sustainable, how is this helping me to now say to others, yo, I want to share this with you, like I want to share my joy with you. Like I'm not trying to share my toxicity, I'm not trying to share my pain, I'm not trying to share my venom, I'm trying to share my joy with you. And I think that that's such a like empowering thing, but it's also an informative thing, right? Like, what does joy look like? What does happiness look like? And how do we spread that in a very honest and real way where we're not trying to sacrifice ourselves, right? Like I said, it's refinement. So it's a controlled, this is a controlled substance. it's so many other ingredients that went into it, but I'm trying to give you, the essentials of it, so that way you could take it, you duplicate it, and if I'm wrong, hopefully you got enough space in your heart to have some compassion to let me learn how to be right, right? Like, I'm not saying it's flawless. I'm not saying, but in education itself, right? You equip us with limited tools, but you also like beat us and berate us with when we're wrong, right? Like, you don't know that? Like, did you never learn that? How did you get to this grade? What is the problem? How are you struggling? All of these problematic terms when it's like, yo, I'm here to learn. That's what I'm here for. You're supposed to find a way to teach me. Go back to what I said, right? Like, and I got this from a woman of a proud black family in the Bayview who I love very much, where she was like, everybody want to talk about communication is the key, but everybody forget comprehension is the lock. And I was like, you know what? I'm gonna expand on that, right? Communication is the key, comprehension is the lock, but context is the door, right? Where are we trying to go? We got to figure out where's this door lead us to. That's the context. And I think that people don't realize and understand that communication is the wrong key. You just abusing the lock every time you hit us over the head, which you don't know. How come you never learned this? How did you get to this grade? How'd you get in this class? Like, oh man, that they failed you. Like, yeah, you one of them that failed me. Like, come on now, let's be real. Like, we sitting here trying to rewrite the book, right? We understand there's pieces we need, and there's a lot of it we don't. But in this midst of a new time, even with all this craziness that's going on in this new age, we can still find joy, and we still trying to be able to share that joy. So, with that, I'm thinking about kind of where we want to take things, right? And touching on this new age, this new time, right? Even piggybacking off of last week, finding wellness in the age of Zoom. Now it's like you can't ignore it. You can't get away from it. The numbers, the statistics, the data, the news, it's all around you. It's how do we deal with the impact of this pandemic, right? COVID-19, now COVID 2020. How do we deal with the impact and what is our response to it? So what are y'all thinking? June, what you think? What's your response to this time? What is your response to this pandemic and how we gotta maneuver?
First, I have to say my response is gratitude that I'm alive, because it is a pandemic, and there have been millions that, if I'm not wrong, hundreds of thousands of lives that have been lost. I'm gonna look up that number. I feel disrespectful not by not even being well aware of what is really taking place in the world. But I feel as if that's key. If we were to put things into context, um, gratitude is one way um, to appreciate what you do have, and to reflect on where you once were. I think that's like, I know so many people who have not starved this for the past 4 months, but haven't received one check from their job. So it's an incredible time right now, to count your blessings, no matter, regardless of what position you're in.
No, I feel that. I feel that. I feel that. Alex, I mean, what are you thinking? What is the kind of, what's the impact and what's your response to the impact?
The impact is crazy. It's like just in the United States, 4 million plus, cases, in California, 433,000 cases, almost a half a million cases just in, California alone. California, and I think, and New York are both, 400,000 plus. Florida is on the way, like, 390 something. Uh, and with 146,000 deaths, the impact, is wild, because it's like this fear, this uncertainty, this despair and desperation. um there's this finger pointing game going on. It's a lot of blaming, and people pointing in everyone. It's lack of confidence in the government, lack of confidence in local and state governments, um, lack of confidence in the current administration. The impact is all over the place. If nothing else, is divisive, to some degree. At the same time, like the impact is unifying in others, um, and I think we have the opportunity to create that change that we want to see in the world. Excuse me, by being that change and seeking out small communities, creating small communities, that become larger communities, of you know mobilizing peace and mobilizing joy and mobilizing healing. um, and if everybody's at home, you know people could be passing out flyers, you know just in affirmation. um, it's interesting because for me, I saw the fitness industry um, do something that most businesses don't want to do, giving away workouts, offering free classes, online classes, and really trying to stay relevant. um, and it's interesting because I saw that same behavior in June, saw that same behavior, for Juneteenth and June 2nd, and where businesses were trying to stay relevant by tossing out a message in empathy. um, and the issues have been the same. There's no apology or acknowledgement for their either ignorance, um, or being oblivious, or just negligent to issues you know concerning people of color around the world. Because you got global brands, who who are aware of, maybe not on a corporate level, but on definitely on an individual level. If you got social media, it's a lot of stuff you cannot hide from. And now that folks are sitting still, or not necessarily sitting still, but trying to find ways to connect and stay in touch. They're seeing what other people are going through. And there's a lot of people that are struggling who are not on social media. There's a lot of stories that are not being covered, you know and a lot of stuff that's not getting publicized through television, through local news, through national news. um it's a wild place to be in. But my I think my response is always build community. um my response is always create dialogue, listen to the person that's hard to listen to. Because like, if everybody's on the same page, then there's no compromise happening. um so if you just surround people who think and act and walk like then there's no compromise happening, and you just as complacent as the next person who you don't want to hear from. And like, it's late, like it's too late, and we gotta be over, like, ignoring people, or who disagree with us. We got to be over that, because we all have a responsibility to move forward. And it's gonna take all of us. It's not gonna take some of us, but it's got to be in small groups. And you gotta we got to get more humble at times. And for some of us, who've been humble a lot, who've been quiet a lot, so got to be a little bit more bolder, because we need your ideas, and we need your creativity, and we need your imagination to push us forward. We need that.
No, no, definitely. I so agree in so many levels. Like, June talking about having a level of gratitude to the idea of, like, this can be a really divisive issue, right? Like, we talking about the impacts and response of kind of how COVID, pandemic, all these different things have played a role. in our lives, it's now created this new time period that we're in. And with that, it is important to not lose sight of how do we come together as people and how do we hear each other out, right? Like letting that gratitude that we have to kind of even be here and have whatever we can have when we know like this is how I look at it, right? So we could go into the conspiracy theories, we could go into all of the different levels of what people say, what people think, what people believe. And trust me, I'm like 5 seconds away from making a tinfoil version of this mask. Like y'all better watch The Watchmen. That show was popping. It was, man, like I wear the mask now, and I'm every time manifests itself in new ways. But I'll save that for this. When we hear people and we don't necessarily agree, right? It is something where I've always had this mentality. If you have the right messenger to get the message, someone will be able to receive it, right? If you don't have the right messenger, then you can't say that that was the right vehicle or that was the right delivery method. Everybody receives the message differently, and everyone needs a different messenger. And the thing is, at a time like this, right, where we're limited in who gets to give us the information and who gets to share it, right? We kind of dictate it to us. Like just to touch on it, I pulled up the numbers. I looked on Google. Google has a COVID-19 alert, and right now the numbers, as it says, worldwide is 15.4 million, right? And that doesn't mean everybody's been tracked and everybody, like we don't know the depths of how these diagnoses are determined on a global level, right? We just know what we know on a local level, right? And then we talk about the deaths, right? So we look at the United States is 140,000. We look at the world is 630,000, right? So we're looking at these numbers and we're not always quick to put a face to them, right? So now this is the difference for me. When this started, one, y'all got to know something. I be prepared for it. So we're from California, and especially Northern California, we have wildfires. And so I already had masks with removable filters ready for the day that we had the wildfires come back. So when this whole pandemic hit and I had to go shopping early in the morning on a weekday, I was wearing a mask that wasn't just a cloth. I'm wearing a mask that looks like I'm ready to go fight in Mortal Kombat or I'm a SWAT team member. Like, I was ready for it. But then as time moves forward, right? All things are starting to calm down. Things are coming cool. You start thinking, oh, it's smooth, it's sweet, we good, right? So I start going shopping on the weekend, speak for myself. I'm like, oh, it's good. Let's go back into the world. I don't have to get up early and go stand in line and be waiting in the cold. Now I could kind of just mosey on in because the restrictions have been lifted. But now, as of this past like 2 weeks to this last week, people that I know in my community, people who I'm close to or consider close, they got it. And, you know, maybe the symptoms aren't severe, or maybe maybe people are showing symptoms and they haven't gotten tested yet. Like it's so close that now I can't ignore it because there's confirmation in households where somebody grandma got it and she's suffering from it, right? Like, yeah, maybe the grandchild ain't really suffering from it, but they grandma is, and they both got it. So now it's hit in a way that I'm like, well, I guess I got to go back shopping early morning on the weekdays, right? Because the impact is, me, I'm like hyper aware. What we gotta do? Where we going? How we gonna move? What is the response? So let me come with a plan to say this is gonna help me stay sane and at the same time be able to take care of what needs to be taken care of because I ain't trying to get got. Like I'm gonna just keep it 100. Like I'm on here spreading my joy, sharing my joy. Let me be clear. I want this joy to last. I want it to be sustainable. So if your boy gonna be washing his hands a little extra 10 seconds, guess what? I'm gonna be washing my hands extra little 10 seconds. I'm not gonna be caught out here with the cough cough, sneeze sneeze, itchy throat. Like nah, I ain't got time for that. For me, it's imperative to work out. I love the gym. I can't go to the gym. So what I'm gonna do? Man, we finna get it in front in the backyard. We finna hit it every kind of which way in this little isolated area. We in the living room. We in the living room. This yoga mat gonna become my new home to get it going. The dojo is here. pulling out the kettlebells. You know what I'm saying? Alex got the 50 weight. You know, we ain't playing out here. We pushing that heavy weights. We ain't pulling no babies. We playing with the big things. Okay. So the thing is, right, we hitting them reps. You know what I'm saying? Reps and sets. But you know, for me, like I love martial arts. I love you gotta let it out, girl. Let that thing out. Don't hold that back. What you talking is? We in this together.
Okay. All right.
June know because she out here working out too.
Oh yeah,
She
boy.
she she been getting it too.
400-meter right now. June hit the 400. But the thing is that
June,
for
go
us,
ahead.
right? Oh, here we go. Resistance
You
band.
didn't even know. I have this set up. Please, like I'm all about fitness. Like it's all. I'm there. Okay, I have goals. I hit my goals. Okay, and when I get those goals, then I hit new ones. Okay, I went from 300 to 130, boy, and I am right now. I'm at a healthy weight in between. Please, and I'm stacked like strong. And don't think I don't have my own entrepreneurial ideas to capitalize off of this growth. Woo! We just in the beginning.
How you feel though? How you feel now that you put so much effort into your health? Like, how do you feel?
Look, I'm ready to do it all over again and prove my doubters, prove my haters wrong once more. Oh, I didn't take enough pictures for you. Okay, I didn't blow up the gram enough. Oh, allow me to do the same.
That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm saying is that like the impact, as detrimental as it is definitely our response that makes the difference. That creates the energy that manifests itself to be able to survive this, to be able to outlast this. Because just as much as you can be in good health, mentally, you have to be in good health, right? You have to have that good spirit, that good energy, so that you want to look forward to doing these things. So you're motivated, you're energized, you're excited to want to keep pushing, right?
It has to be what you want. You
That
have to want to grow. You want to have to be happy. Because if not, this world will tear you down and give you every reason not to be. So you have to want to be better. You want to have to love. You want to have to be your best self. And that's where it begins with you.
I mean, it's true. It's like people, you need to want you. You need you. You need to want to love you. You need to love you. You know what I'm saying? Like the relationship starts here with self. First and foremost. Take it from somebody who I've been in toxic relationships. I done had unhealthy codependencies. I done came from a family of all kind of mess that I'm still trying to help them sort through. And I've been able to somewhat figure out how to deal with and manage and process, right? Digest, get it out my system, right? And the thing is that it took a lot of experience in different communities, different people, different expertise to really come to this point that I'm at now where I'm like, okay, you know what? I've invested my time in the community. The community has definitely invested in me. How do I now take it and find my way to give it, to share it, right? How do I find my way to exist within it and have ownership? Because yes, it is about ownership. I'm not gonna let that go and not be a part of my joy. So with that, we're talking about like, I put a face to this thing, right? This pandemic that just was a name with a number, and realizing that like now it's impacting people who I care about, who I love. And in order for me to be there for them, I got to be hyperactive around what's my role, right? Like, what is my duty and what is my duty to myself first? Because we forget you need to put the oxygen mask on yourself first before you put it on someone else, right? Sometimes we're quick to want to put it on someone else and we pass out in the process. That's not the way. If we all focus on doing step one, which is dealing with self first, then we can then do for another. And it won't be a thing where, oh, I put them before me. You can't. You have to put you first, and there's nothing wrong with it because that's all you have. When you're in here, like, you have to make sure that you understand that like there's always going to be this way of the world you grew up in and the society that's around you will try to impose itself on you. And as time goes on, you will then discover there's so much more to society and so much more to the world that expand beyond what you then identify with. We became familiar, right? Your family is away, and then you figure out, wait, this might be wrong. I need to find a new way, right? That might mean you need to teach someone something, right? You might need to teach an elder, right? We will often be so we want to crystallize our family, especially our elders, our mothers, our fathers, our guardians, our aunties, uncles, mothers, grandfathers as these superheroes, not realizing they constantly putting the mask on us first, and they don't put the mask on themselves. And before we know it, we look up and well, now we have the mask on us. We need to put the mask back on them, right? And you know that as that's lyrical ones. This is episode 8, double entendre. We coming through with these bars. Think about what I'm saying. I'm using the mask in multitudes of ways, covering up, and I'm talking about the covering up that has been done to shelter us, to make sure we survive and we grow and we capitalize on their success. But we also can't ignore, especially at a time like this, when they say like this pandemic, this affects elders. It's also our actions and our habits that impact them as well, right? Like I'm not trying to dictate and tell you what to do, but I am saying if you have a loved one and you have someone who's older, you need to be even more considerate, not only just in the terms of this pandemic, but in your care and the attention and the relationship, because the impact, I mean, yeah, on one end, the pandemic has an impact, but your response has to last beyond this. Your response has to live beyond the fact that we're all shelter in place or beyond the fact that we're social distancing. The impact is, yes, we all now in the same place. Whether we agree with it, whether we don't like it, you got people protesting for Black Lives Matter. You got people protesting because they don't want to wear a mask. You got people protesting for everything. But the one thing we can be uniform on is we can't ignore what's going on. We can't ignore the world we live in. We are in it together. And with that, think about those loved ones and how what you're doing has impact on them. How your response may be everlasting or ever changing, or are you just stuck in monotony and you just doing the same old, same old? Like really think about that. You know, it's easy to say. It is hard to do. Anybody who's ever tried to change how they eat, trust me, I know the pain. I know the struggle. But that's how everything is, right? What you give yourself will then manifest itself in how your body feels, how your body looks, what your body is able to do. And the same can be said with what we do to others, what we give to others, how we are with others, and how that impacts them. So, you know, it's just think about it, right? Like we all impacted by it, but how you gonna make your response sustainable so it ain't just like we made it out, y'all. It's time to turn up and wild out. We ain't gonna hold nothing. We gonna do whatever we want. Nah, hold on, wait a minute. That's kind of how we got here in the first place. And it's like we got here times two. Like we was like, oh, it's good. Numbers going down. Guess what, y'all? We right back to where we was, square one.
I know in LA where like the beaches are open. I still went driving down there, still everybody's down there, no masks. Runners sucking up all the air. Swimmers drowning. I got to, oh, it's all bad.
Yeah.
Nah, man. Like I grew up with asthma. You know, I still got, mild case of asthma. So I can only rock with people, that's being careful. You know, like that's just my baseline. And I think self-care, especially fitness, and your nutrition, is telling yourself yes. It's giving yourself permission, to find a freedom beyond, your environment, you know, where you grew up, your upbringing, taking responsibility and ownership for your joy, for your life, for your health, for your quality of life, and just telling yourself yes by pursuing that your limitations instead of shying away from them. Like the box that you think you're in, find out what's at the edge of it. The fence that you think you're in, find out what's at the edge of it. And see how many times you can approach it till you surpass it. Like it's so important just to tell yourself yes when you got a world telling you no, because you got the wrong hair or you got the wrong skin or you the wrong size or your voice is too high or too low, or your shoulders is too broad or too small, or your stomach is this or your stomach is that, or you talk like this, or because your interest is this. You got a whole world that'll tell you no, just because you think different, just because you are a visual learner instead of audible learner, or a physical learner, you know, as an alternative. It's like, because you process things differently, the world will tell you no. And because you don't, because of what they say you lack, they won't they won't give you credit for how much you have. And when you tell yourself yes, you can take ownership of all that you're capable of and your capacity, and take a real measure of it, and then decide that it can be measured if you want. um, I think, fitness is that self exploration, to really understand, how you process stress. And, you know, I'll say it, as many times as I need to, until people, you know, take it to heart, that, how we approach and engage and respond to stress determines how we interact with people. And we see it, with people holding semi-automatic weapons, sitting, standing in city halls, and we see it, as, groups of mothers, backed by other protesters, push back federal agents. We see it when people is, painting Black Lives Matter on the street, and then we see people, you know, paint rollering over it. Like, we see how people are responding to stress. And, we often, try to take it personal. Um, and the truth is, like, folks is stressing right now and having all types of reactions, reactions that they never had before, reactions that they didn't see coming. And uh, that's because they've been preoccupied with work, or preoccupied with family, or preoccupied with relationships. And for a lot of people, like, life hasn't stopped, like, for a lot of people, they're working more than they ever have. People is working from home, and 9 meetings back to 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 back. And I think I got that right too. I think I hit that right on the head. I think I might have hit 9 too. But we'll run it back, and we'll find out. We'll we'll recap it and find out. Um, but some people are stressed more than they ever been. You know, on top of the stress of the world that's swirling around, the different mediums of communication. Um, and like, you was right when you said that, communication can look, all different types of ways, and that, communication being the key, and folks having the wrong key, um, to the door, to the context of, their interaction with whoever they're interacting with, because communication is not just with yourself. Communication is listening. Elite communication is listening. um, and, any instructor, who any supervisor, any administrator, any director, who is trying to create culture, has to start with listening. If you're trying to teach something, then you have to come from a space of being an educator. And if you're going to educate, then you have to then give them a chance to say what they're grasping, as far as, ideas go. If you're trying to, disseminate some information, like, you can't say you're teaching if you're just talking at people. um, because then you have no idea if you're educating them at all, if the education is actually happening, if that, process, to bring out the knowledge means listen. And that's, the root of education. To educate, is to bring out that knowledge. So it's so important that, we when we're trying to create culture, when we're trying to, push joy, that we come from a place of listening. So, like, all y'all listening right now, y'all practicing elite communication. Even if we can't hear your response, y'all practicing elite communication, and you know, we love to get the feedback. Hop on the channels and the platforms. Tell us what y'all think. It's so good when we get feedback from y'all and get those mentions. Um, you know, through Twitter, through Instagram. Uh, yeah, we're people that is open to share what we learned, but more so, we also want to hear back, and I think we're all greedy when it comes to education and information ourselves. Um, because the more you got, the more you can create with. it's like uh, it's like Legos. If you only got few few four slot Legos to work with, you only making so much. But the more options you have, the more information you have, the more you can build. And I think we're all in the lifestyle of building. And so, just like June was talking about, she got her new entrepreneurial, focus on. You know, I got mine on. Sineo is making moves upon moves upon moves. Um, he probably wear the mask to keep his brain, intact, because he got ideas coming out of everywhere. Um, so he try to hold on to some for himself. I understand that. I'm just trying to keep mine in my hair right now. Um, but yeah, it's like it's so important right now to continue to create. The mindset of a creative is one of taking emotion, whether it be joy or pain, and communicating it in a way that's unique to their voice. And again, they become messengers, and your experiences and the way that you go through life has a message that somebody else can relate to. So if you feel like sharing something anytime, you know, process it, man. Sit with it, think about it, like cook it, simmer it till you take all those ingredients till it's a full recipe, and then serve it, at the proper time, wherever you see fit, because somebody is gonna like really be fed by your message. And you know just keep at it, keep putting one foot in front of the other. That's the only way races are won. It's one foot in front of the other.
No, definitely, definitely. Can't win no race if you burn out. Cannot win no race if you burn out. You got to be mindful of what is your capacity and how do you expand your capacity, right? Like just because you have this capacity today don't mean your capacity can't grow. It can. It's ever growing, right? You can reach a level of limitlessness if you want to, right? Like it's not like don't put no self-limiting beliefs on you because that happens. We all do that. We all get in our insecurities. We let our ego try to dictate, right? I'll say it so many times because I'm telling you it's a practice. A lot of this is a practice. That's why these things reoccur because it's not so much that I did it as much as I keep doing it. Like really think about that. It's not that I did it. It's that I keep doing it. I stay committed to the action, repeating the action. We was all talking about exercise. That's all repetition and movement. And we have to be mindful of how many of those movements we commit to. One, is it effective? And two, are we straining or impacting ourselves negatively with an injury, right? It's the same that can be said with our lifestyle, our life, what we do, how we live, and being mindful of all the different aspects of like, where we going, how we gonna get there, right? How do we look at this pandemic and how do we respond in a way that's like a careful approach? We got to find ways, but we have to test ourselves in a multitude and like every spectrum, right? From every pole, right? From the north to the south, from every aspect. How does it that we look at it from, okay, I know I need this. I need human interaction. I need belonging. I need access, right? Like, yeah, my brain's all over the place. I mean, most people wear their heart on their sleeve. I wear my heart on my head. But the whole concept is, how do I rationalize and keep my wellness together to maintain my focus and my approach and my practice? Like that's the thing that people they forget. Like life is
It's,
a practice. Life
it's
is
not about performance, man. It's not about performance. You know, that's that again, that meritocracy that she's talking about, man. It's like the system will push on you that you have to perform and jump through these hoops. And really we ain't got to do that. It's it's more important that we accept ourselves. Um, it's so important. Like we even relate being happy to a performance, like to like how good you are at something, at good at life you are because you're happy. And that's not the case. It's like it's so important for us to to be okay with where we are. And like practice means accepting where you are and like every day being a new starting line. It's like, okay, this is where I'm at today. And that, that impact of accepting yourself before you walk out the house, before anybody judges you, before, you judge yourself, before you look into the mirror and say, I'm happy with who I am now, regardless of what I see, regardless of what I feel, that I'm okay being me. And, not always feeling better, but getting better at feeling. Because there'll be a lot of stuff that you feel that you don't that you wasn't prepared for.
yeah, no, I mean, that's real. And speaking of being prepared, like thinking about it in this context, what's y'all perspective on how this now has like removing it from the self, thinking on our community, thinking of kind of like, we stay in relatively what would we call tourist destinations, right? LA. I mean, you go out there, boom. Trying to show up, you trying to show out, you trying to be on the boardwalk, you trying to go down the strip, you trying to be in the LA vibes, right? San Francisco, right? You trying to see the landmarks and see all these different, pivotal places that are photogenic in scope and highlight all the variety of what San Francisco has to offer, whatever. But
Panoramic views, feel me?
all around,
And it's crazy because like right now in California is hella tourists that are not here. It's mostly just people who live here, who are in California right now. It's a whole lot of locals or transplants, people who moved there, whatever. But for the most part, it's not tourists around. So it's like crazy to see like families of people who live here and like the tourist destinations not overpacked, not overcrowded. It's like it's space to like see these places and see these cities, and whether it's Big Sur or the Golden Gate Bridge or whatever, is like all this stuff that would be happening in the summer with all this movement is like not happening right now. Like I never seen anything like it. Where like growing up, we didn't get to go to Pier 39 unless we was on a field trip. Like, and then when we got to high school, like you could go down there, but you wasn't going with your family. You wasn't going with your siblings down there. It's like you wasn't going to see the tourists. Like you got to like take a day off to play tourists in your city. Same thing in LA. Like because especially in LA where like you got to get a car just to go anywhere anyway. Because like nothing is close. It's like a few exits away. Like only like people who from there like know how to navigate like the back streets and stuff like that. And then people who really drive, know the back streets like got to commute. It's like, oh yeah, I ain't even about to get on the freeway. They already know it's not even worth it.
A
But
two
like
hour
right,
commute can turn into a 4 hour commute easily because when you're in the Bay, when I was living in the Bay, I was driving an hour out to the city every other weekend, maybe every weekend. So that's an hour.
yeah,
Okay, that's not too bad. Maybe a trip to Sacramento, that's 2 hours, but you get at the wrong freeway at the wrong time. That hour drive, okay, turns into two. Oh, would you look at that? But actually, because everyone's been staying home, the traffic has been awfully light.
yeah. And I just the car traffic, the foot traffic. It's like it's crazy to see like empty cities. Like for real, for real. I used to always think about how it's like maybe 700, 800,000 people living in San Francisco. like in the county, city county of San Francisco, but it's over a million two people in the city each day because of tourism and commuting. Um, that's wild to me. Just like now, it's people like moving out. Now it's businesses moving out, and like it's crazy because like one of the gas and electric companies is actually, excuse me, moving out of their building that they've been in for like since 1905 or something like that. Since like or like since the 1906 earthquake, they've been there for hella long, like almost like 100 years or something like that, or like 105 years, so like after the earthquake. But yeah, they about to move out to the East Bay because they don't need a big ass building no more. And it's a lot of companies like that don't need big ass buildings and big ass conference rooms that they can't fill. Um, and some people move here just to be tourists here, um, just to like feel the city and walk down this and see the painted ladies and be over here and hit the steps and see the bridges and you know have this ice cream and go to the ferry building and do all this stuff. And right now it's just like if you lucky enough to live here or you stuck enough to live here, um you get to kind of see the city if you want to, in a different light. And it's crazy because you still won't see the best of it. I think the best of it is the locals, the natives. The best of the city, is the culture. I feel that way about LA, and to a degree, folks who come from the East Coast, like they cool, but they got the idea of the West Coast, California city, and like they don't know what's not on they only know what's on the news and in the in the small screen and big screen. They like it's wild to see like hospitality, down. Because a lot of families that rely on hospitality in the industry, a lot of folks working under the table, working, entry level jobs you can only that you can only get, if you don't have, proper education, or if you got limited, English. Like it's crazy to see this time, and it's across the planet, where hospitality is down. Some Caribbean countries is reliant on it, in their economies. And California, it's got a lot of a strong hospitality industry. And it's interesting because now it's just really the hotels is available for essential workers, but essential workers is not even using them because they rather be at home with their families. And so it's money that's set aside for essential workers to stay in hotels so they could be safe and be away from quarantine away from their families or whatever. Um, and a lot of folks are not even using them. Like, on top of that, it's just like money set aside that's not being used, and people can't really do anything about it. Um, like you can't jumpstart the hotel industry with no vaccine. You can't jumpstart the whole hotel industry, till things are safe, because not everybody's gonna want to feel safe to travel at the same time.
There's so many industries that are going to need a jump start, but it's going to take a lot of innovation to recreate the whole experience when it comes to traveling, when it comes to going to a hotel, when it comes to just about every industry where the masses gather. I mean, they're even trying to work something out with the NBA. But what's a game without fans? And I just, it's a lot of adjusting, and I feel as if it's just a lot of a constant readjusting that we have to get used to. So we have to get used to readjusting to and finding new ways. But for the time being, goodness, I just feel as if there's so many there's not just one crisis, but there's so many going on right now that almost like we I would say that's almost like a hot topic word and or a trigger word, just like how the word pandemic and just how the word protest is a trigger word. And if we were to put it in the proper context, going back to what Sineo was saying, I kind of think of it, if you guys remember that one scene from The Nightmare Before Christmas where they go into the forest and you have all those holiday doors, right? So it's like, I'm going to have this word holiday, but I have to put it in the proper context. So I'm going to brighten it up a bit for the people who like to celebrate with with a garland of popcorn around a tree, or I'm going to bring out some, or I'm going to soften my heart a bit to those who like to celebrate Valentine's Day. You get what I'm saying? So I understand that. Just to give a visual to your example of a more in-depth visual to your to why I get so worked up. Okay. Thank you. Yeah, that's it. All right.
I feel it. I feel it. I mean, it's funny because it's like I'm not gonna lie. I went off in my whole little daydream after Alice was like Pier 39. I was like, oh man, why you say that? That's a trigger point because now it's like we start talking about hospitality, we going down a whole nother direction, right? So I'm gonna try and keep it real respectful. I gotta own my truth, and so right, this is the thing. This is the world we in versus the world that was. So let's take a trip down memory lane, right? So Pier 39, like he ain't lying. Like you went there as a field trip, you ain't go there with your family. You at best you went to go to get you a NASCAR race jacket, or maybe you got a little jersey. You went to the arcade. If you was lucky when the arcade was still around, like the arcade was the place. Like let me tell you, we about to deep dive, but I remember they had a Mazda Miata that was in the arcade for a game called Ridge Racer, right? Now the thing is, you could literally sit in a car in the arcade and play this game, right? That was a totally different experience. But let's fast forward, right? We now out of just video games, we into romantic interests, and we trying to impress people. We trying to show them different aspects of our city. So I remember that was the date spot. That was like the group date spot. That was like get your little cupcake session on, and we gonna sit in the back of the pier, and we gonna just watch the boats and talk at nighttime. We gonna see if we could catch some seals swim by, right? Like
Straight Otis Redding sitting on the dock of the bay.
Like I've had that date before, okay? With the seals, okay?
there was so many little moments that like right now don't exist. Like summertime was the time to go down there, and that's the routine. It's like you pass it on. Like it's just gonna happen year after year. You got these little kids going down there with their little cupcakes, and they gonna spend some time cupcaking, right? And when I say cupcake, we come from the Bay. What I mean is cupcake, no feeling. Got a lot of time. I got a lot of hey, but what trunk boys, holler the trunk boys. But I'm just saying that when we talk about cupcake, yes, quality time of being intimate on a variety of levels, right? That's not about being explicit, disgusting, or disrespectful, but like everybody appreciates a level of intimacy, a relationship, right? And so cupcaking is the encapsulation, the nomenclature, if you will, of what that means. So when I'm talking about cupcaking, that's what I mean. I had my little cupcake. We were going down there cupcaking, and that was the whole thing. But then as an adult, we fast forward, right? And we think about like, okay, I got a job now, and I was a staycationer, right? Like if I needed privacy, I needed a wait time, I needed alone time, I needed to be with somebody, I could go and hit up a hotel, right? That was the thing. Like I'm gonna just go somewhere and maybe I have somebody with me. Maybe I don't, right? Maybe I just want to get away from everything. But now the world is shifted and it's changed, and that no longer is the reality. Right now, it's like we have to do all these levels of negotiation, and I have to take into account that like my little siblings or my nephews, my little cousins, they're they're dealing with this now, and they can't have those experiences that I had. Those experiences have put on a halt. And now I gotta be even more aware of my response, because not only is the industry impacted, but like people who participated in that industry, like think about how that all came to an end. Like there's so many trips that will not be taken. There's so many moments that will not be had. There's so many photos you will not get to take because right now we all have to shift our focus and where we're gonna be at. And so when you start talking about all these different places in the city, like those were the spots. Like we gonna okay, girl, we gonna hop in this car and we just gonna drive. We gonna hop out and we just gonna walk. We gonna go here, we gonna go there, we gonna stay here, we gonna walk over here. Like those things for people who like me, I'm my time is served. I'm locking it down. Like I ain't my cupcake days is over. Like, we far beyond cupcake. Like I'm trying to make hostess right now. Like we trying to build a brand. We trying to like this is gonna be managed and leveraged for the rest of my life. So my days is over. But what about the people who still have yet to even experience those days? The impact is on a so much different scale. And we don't even think about it. We just be so fine tuned in. "Ah, I can't go to work, or I can't do this, or I can't do that. What about me?" And it's like, what about all these little youngins around here who like they losing their mind? Like my whole soul.
No Japantown ramen, no Japantown karaoke, no walking the beach. You can't like they can't even go to Ocean Beach, Lands End, and post up.
I mean,
It's crazy.
they can't even do the late night Denny's, the late night IHOP. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like the late
Mel's driving.
come on, we gonna break bread right now. We all little gone. We a little inebriated. Maybe our focus is a little off. Maybe it's not. Maybe we just wanted to see each other. Maybe we just wanted to kick it. Guess what? That's over. That ain't happening right now. That's on pause. Like, man,
Pause.
like really think about like your experiences that lasted and live outside the house. That ain't like even if you was able to get a little piece of it right now, guess what? It ain't the same because you doing it in almost a defiance, right? Like you're doing it in light of like, oh my God, these numbers and data. You never had to do that before. It was like, all right, I see y'all. I'm gonna be gone. Maybe I come back. Maybe I don't. And these kids right now ain't getting that. They ain't getting that experience. They ain't getting that chance. They just all on the gram, all on the social medias, right? The ticket talk. You feel me? And it's like man, this is where we at now, right? Like we got to have a virtual background of these landmarks, right? Like everybody got their Zoom background with the Golden Gate Bridge, but like we was really walking out there and like on the hype, hiking. You know what I'm saying? Like that was a hype to go across the Golden Gate Bridge. Like not everybody gonna make it. Sometimes you get halfway through and your person who you with, your friend, your partner, whoever, they like,
I'm
can we?
gonna go back.
You know, I'm
Just
like,
on the way back, they give out. Ooh, you gotta catch that bus. You gotta go around the corner. It get dark quick. The wind come in. The fog's already rolling. You know, if you know, you know.
you know, you know. You know what I'm saying? If you know you, I mean, if you was really in the struggle and you didn't have it like that, you hopping on the 29, like you going right back. You going right back to where you came from, or you gonna take that hike. But it's like, yo, man, that's a whole nother world right now. Like that's so far away. It's so removed. Like I was removed because I evolved to a place where now where I'm moving and how I'm moving is different. But even then, I can't even like, if I want to go somewhere out of state, that's not really the likelihood of what's going to happen, right? There's still people traveling. There's still people making those bold decisions to say, you know what, I'm about to risk it for the biscuit. We about to live it up. We about to turn up. We about to do this. And I
And
get it.
go to Vegas.
You have every right to want to risk it for the biscuit. But me, I'm thinking of okay, I have a future and a foundation I'm trying to lay, and I have a legacy that I'm trying to keep in pristine condition, right? So I got to make sure that like now that I have a face to this problem, it changes my relationship to the problem. It changes my response. Like, yes, the hospitality industry is impacted on a global scale. That this my participation in it and my contributions to it has changed drastically. Like everything is now different, and I'm always thinking of like, what if my favorite restaurant get closed? Like that's always the impending doom. Like
What's your favorite restaurant?
chains. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like some of us is like we got that little kicking spot that's like hole in the wall that we need a little fix. And it's like, man, is that gonna be here? Is it how do I support it? Is it gonna be around? Like these are the things that like we don't some like it's easy to let go and not even think of because I'm gonna keep it real. Like when you said Pier 39, immediately I'm like NASCAR jacket with the logos. I'm like, my Nike jersey that I got from the little sports shop. I'm like, man, I was really all over that place. My friend's first job was at the candy store. Like, them all different things now. That's a whole different.
All different things. I was down. I was down there, and early in the pandemic, like when it's just different now. They closed off. They closed off parts of it. Part of the draw of it was you could kind of weave in and out the pier on these docks. It's like all these different like cuts and alleyways on off the water. And now they just got stuff blocked off. It's like you can only go from the front straight to the back, and then from the back to the outside. You can't go in between the different walkways and hallways and alleyways and corridors no more. Um, and they got people at the front checking to see if you're wearing a mask in the first place. And like the big restaurants, the big fancy restaurants that was expensive that you would take moms to for Mother's Day, or do some kind of anniversary thing, the seafood thing. Like the big spots with the big dining rooms, all closed. Only spots that's small, you do takeout and outdoor seating is the only ones open. And it's just like it's still for me it's refreshing as well just to see that the families are there at all. Um, because even though they don't have the same experience that we got, they get in some of it, and they get in something that is different. And it's always just encouraging for me to see like families together, because it's such a hard time for families. It's such a hard time for students, for teachers, for parents. Um, it's like if nothing, if work doesn't stop and you're working from home and you with your kids, it's tough. Or you can't work, you can't go to work because your kids, and it's like it don't make sense. You can't afford. It's not worth it to put them in daycare and risk anything happening to them. For them getting sick. It's not like children are not impervious to it. Even if the numbers are low, they're not impervious to it, and it's like it's not worth the chance. Like I got faces and seen folks, or know of folks who passed away. Um, especially in this second surge or whatever it is. Um, I've seen it, and you can't take the relaxation and mandates as a sign that everything's safe. The like the it's I think the government could do better in making it clear that the point of reopening is for economic reasons, right? It's like it doesn't mean that everything is safe. Just because you can go outside doesn't mean you should go outside and wild out. Just because you can go to the park doesn't mean you should go to the park and wild out. Um, it's just a wild space to be in, because folks is still thinking about the individual self, instead of the collective self.
That's the
And we'll
biggest lesson that we're learning as a collective.
for sure.
Yeah, I mean, nah, really like, things that I like to kind of highlight, like one, I got asthma too, right? Like, shout out to the secondhand smokers in the family that helped that out. But at the same time, it is a thing where, oh, I gotta say this before I go on. RIP to the Bushman at Pier 39. Like, you'll forever be missed, right? Like, yeah, it's been years, but I'm gonna keep that spirit alive, because like I said, that brings back the memories of every time he caught one of y'all slipping when y'all was walking by and he boogeymaned his way out the bush, and y'all was, oh my god, screaming, and I laughed and I was like, yo, here's another one. We sitting there 20 deep looking at y'all walk by, y'all thinking, what are they looking at? We're looking at you about to get made into a fool. RIP the Bushman. But now going back on the other side of the spectrum, right? Like, it is a thing where it's like, like, however you feel like you can play your role and do your duty, you know, like I don't want anyone to be in my position to see a face, to put a face to it. And I know sometimes that makes it different is when you have it. And I just said I'm admitting, like, even if my response before was strong, my response now is going right back to it because I can't ease up off the pedal. Like I gotta really hold true to, okay, now that there's a face to it, I need to be appropriate in my response and responsible to them and to my loved ones, because it's, yeah, little kids can catch it. Maybe they aren't impacted, but they become a vessel to travel it, right? They become the ability to traffic it. And that's the thing, is that you got to really think about and be mindful of who and what and how, right? Your intentions,
Mm,
get it. Sometimes we don't realize that you may have good intentions, but the impact isn't always good. And
mm,
now respond to those impacts, and how is it that we're gonna shift this? We in it together. Like it's like I said in the past, the people in my circle, people who I these are people who I would talk to, meet with on a frequent. Now it's right outside their door, and it's like, and I ain't talking about their house. I'm talking about their bedroom, right? Like we talking about the family members, and it's like, yo, don't get it twisted. Y'all gotta be clear. What is your level of participation? Because I'm not here to impose anyone's rights, right? If you want to go and catch that thing away from me, please. Like, just
ah,
let's have some space. You have every right to want to bathe in it, jump in it, swim in it, if that's what you want to do.
put it in the headlock. Give me my COVID.
I ain't with that. That ain't my life. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I ain't about that life. No, no, no.
Some people's all about it.
Man, like, people. I mean, as funny as it may be to some, like, it's real. Like, you have your right to do what you want to do, but don't impose and enforce that. We should be with you if you wilding out there to go and getting your sniffle and cough on her. Like, keep that to yourself. You know what I'm saying? This is a different world. Okay, not for me.
Indeed, it is.
I mean, how we feeling? How we looking? How everybody, now that we've kind of given our perspectives on this pandemic, what are what is the takeaway, right? What is the thing that you kind of see like you can do, or that you gonna hold yourself to? Because for me, I'm gonna keep it 100. What I'm holding myself to is I'm gonna capture that energy that I had at the beginning of this thing, and I'm gonna change my movement. I'm gonna change the times and the days that I'm going to the store. I'm changing, like, people was like, oh, let's go kick it at the park. I'm gonna keep it real, like, ay, I don't know, man. I don't know. I gotta talk it over with the household. You know what I mean? So these are things that I'm gonna hold myself to really make sure I'm gonna, you know, make those things true and hold on to them. So June, where you at with it?
I'm trying to do the best that I can for my family as well. Take the proper precautions. Uh, I mean, people out here, LA is known for its nightlife, so it's just been a very quiet quarantine, and I want to continue to encourage everyone to use their mask. I mean, at first for me, it just came into a whirlwind, so it's I can understand where it's hard to adjust. Everything closed, like everything being closed down, but it's time for us to come together, yes, as a collective, to better the health of one another, and we have to be proactive in looking out and caring for one another. So allow me to do that by social distancing myself.
Where you at with it, Alex? Where you at?
For me, it's just been important to kind of keep the routines of going to a laundromat or going to the grocery store. So like I'm not stir crazy. Like keep the energy the same. Um, I have my sweet spots and the times where I could get in and out the grocery store. You know, within 20 to 35 minutes, or a whole bunch of stuff like I was at the beginning. Um, but I started to think about it the other day. It's like I got to get to those bigger wholesale stores and get some of the things like oatmeal, just have it on deck. Um, Got to stay lean. It's important in the COVID. Uh, Keep the 19 off. Keep the COVID-19 off. Can't gain the COVID-19. It's important. Not the 16, not the 15. Um, and so, yeah, it's like for me, it's like I noticed how I was triaging um, the different obstacles, and just trying to find what was most urgent um, and during the pandemic. And at the top was masking up, and like I got gloves, and I'll be out the house with backup gloves and the fanny pack and hand sanitizer, the gel and the spray, and make sure I got extra in the car and got wipes in the car, and a cleaning station in the house, to come in and wipe everything down. And like that's always been important to me, is like doing that stuff keeps the worry off, keeps the anxiety off. It's like that I'm doing, these certain things, but also that making sure I'm getting out the house, and going for a walk again by myself, not with the squad or with the crew, you know, just taking the time to walk, get out the house, get vitamin D, because that people's reaction to the virus, contracting the virus, um, the, they notice the difference between the severe and the normal reaction. Sometimes is the levels of vitamin D, which is crazy or ironic, because you can't get it if you just inside, or you got to take supplements. And yeah, so like it's like for me, it's just been important to keep up the routine. Um, like it's cool to think about things being lax. Like my sister and I, we went down the way to Burlingame, and they closed one of the streets of traffic, so people ain't got to be packed on the sidewalk, and people are still on the sidewalk. It's like, bruh, what? Why is it so important to be so close? And for some people, they losing so much. And I was telling people at the beginning, hugs will be there later. Like handshakes will be there later. Like all that stuff will be there later if we do what we need to do now. If we do what we need to do now, because like me being safe, me getting through it, through the pandemic, means everybody getting through it. And that's the behavior that I operate on. That's the scope that I come in with, is that I'm taking care of myself, but I'm also taking care of everybody else, you know, and it's important.
No, that's real. That's real. That's real. So, I just, I wanted to give that some space for everybody to kind of, think about what could you hold yourself accountable to get through this, to be able to process this. And, it's a difficult conversation to have, but we're here to have it. We're doing our best to be responsible with it. As I said, we can be wrong. We're not here to try and say we have the answers, but like I said, you got questions, because I'm trying to figure it out as I go too, and I'm just trying to share the experience at the very least, and hopefully we find something in it. Hopefully there's a solution somewhere in it, because thankfully today I don't have it. Right? I don't I've kept my distance. I've maintained space. I'm still trying to do what I can every day, and I feel in great health. But there's people that are not, and I have to think about them too. I have to be mindful of them. So, if anybody got any parting words, anything they want to say before we get up off this thing right now, going once, going twice. Absolutely not. So, with that,
Yo, hold up. Shout out to my brother Figo. We miss you, bruh. Keep doing what you're doing. Keep focused on your things. Shout out to all the lyrical ones listening. All the lyrical ones listening. We hope to hear from y'all soon. We got some cool stuff coming up for y'all. We 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 trying to create culture. in a space where it's lacking, where it's disappearing in some cases. Restaurants is disappearing, venues and DJs got to get new jobs. It's like a lot of stuff is changing. Gig workers is doing different things now, and our lyrical ones that's listening, we appreciate y'all. Let's just we just ramping up. We 7 in. This is number 8. It's crazy because that means we 2 months in, and it's big for us, but I think it's big for all of us to have this space to kind of dialogue. We hope to hear from y'all and touch on some of the stuff that y'all bring up. If it's anything that y'all want us to talk about and touch on, shoot it our way. And we got to talk to the production team because the production team makes the wheels turn. And we ain't got sponsors yet, but maybe one day. But until then, we just trying to create this space for dialogue, for honesty, and you know getting them emotional things, them gears turning, them spiritual things turning, the mental things turning. Um, because when the gears is turning for one of us, they can be turning for all of us. Because that's what community is, man. We appreciate y'all. Like, I'm excited. I appreciate you guys. Like, this has been lovely for me. Um, like, the energy is palpable, as they say. Um, I like to use a butter knife sometimes to make sure that it's potent, the right potency, quality control, butter knife. You know, um, I'm gonna stop.
The right consistency. We just trying to get the right consistency, you know what I'm saying? The right texture. You know what I mean? We out here, exactly. You gotta, what's the flavor like? Is it got flavor? Is it flavorful? Is this dry? Oh man, don't choke on it. So really be clear, right? We trying to cook. Everybody, be mindful. We coming in with spices, right? We ain't coming in with spices to destroy your taste buds. We coming in with spices to give you your aroma, your sense of smell back. You know what I mean? It's a different way of cooking around here, right? This is a holistic wellness approach. So, we going to keep the good food cooking. As long as y'all keep wanting to take it, we going to serve it. So, with that, and, I slipped up. Shout out to Figo. Figo, like I said, he out in the galaxy somewhere saving the day. And, we got to give space to those that need it. And, everybody keep everybody in good faith, good heart, good spirits, right? Pray on it, stay on it, but don't stay too long. So with that, we gonna get this cracking like we usually do at this time.
Episode 8, Lyrical Ones, we out of here.